I believe this is the fourth time I have seen Paul Greyrat die. The fourth time. And it says a lot. And the fact that last year, if you don't remember, last year on this day of Father's Day, they aired this episode intentionally. And they did the same thing in the manga. The effort, the commitment to do this intentionally is amazing. A little messed up, but amazing. The fact that they did this is like, oh my goodness, you people went out of your way so we can see this guy die at the same time. How many times do you ever see this happen for anything where you make something happen on the same day? Whether it's in movie form, TV show form, or even book form, to make sure you've seen this action because it's such a huge impact on what happens within the story. You know, Paul's death is one of the biggest things that ever happened since the turning points. The turning points are the biggest things. But Paul's death was seriously something that a lot of people did not see coming. And they were shocked about it. For people who first read it, to people who first watched it. I remember when I first read it, and it was their web novel version. Then it was the light novel version. Then it was the anime. And then now it's with the manga. And people have their jipes with the manga because mostly the artwork, or they do things a bit differently from the light novels. And I understand. I still enjoy the manga for what it is. And it's for able to tell the story differently in a certain way while still respecting the source material. You know, watching everything go smoothly, they're raiding this dungeon, things are going fully well at first, but they learn to adapt, and that's good. Usually, when you watch an anime and they're on their adventures and they go on an adventure inside of a dungeon, they're always overpowered or everyone survives and it's not that hard, and it makes you wonder what's the point of being in a dungeon. Or some are struggling, but the main character shows up because they're so powerful and everything's a okay. It's that feel good thing. But every now and then we will get an anime where it shows the reality of not everyone makes it out alive. Not everything's gonna be go as easy as planned. Goblin Slayer showed this. Grimoire of Phantom and Ash, which I wish that had a second season. Hell, I wish it would have two more seasons for how good it was. We're never gonna get it. But either way, that's just how things are. Most show Tensei decided to do this. This is probably Rudy's first and last time ever being inside of a labyrinth, and the way he experiences it, he never want to step in one ever again. Now, they finally rescue Zenith, but she's been asleep for days, but they lost Paul, and it impacted everybody. Paul was that dude who was the Chad, the jock. You know, he was always outburstful, couldn't read the mood. He was just so pig-headed and sometimes selfish, but his heart was always in the right place. It was just hard for him to really show it. So people understood him. They still stand by his side despite everything. He just had that charisma, that atmosphere. Because originally, Paul Greyrat was supposed to be the head of the Noto's family of the Grey Rats, but he left because he had an argument with his father. So now here he is. Does he regret anything? No. He enjoys his life of freedom. He couldn't see himself in a life of nobility, even though he probably had it in his blood, but he just didn't want it. So, despite everything, he would probably do what he did again for the sake of himself and his family. And what I really loved about this chapter was also the afterwards, where, you know, Rui is still torn and broken. And remember, when you think about it, both times when Rudy went to go see his parents after the Mana calamity, it never ended well. When you first saw Paul, it was a fighting of a misunderstanding, and then it turned into an argument and everything. And that's what happened. But they were able to make up later on the next day. He goes to see Zenith after last time she saw her was before Mana Calamity. And now he sees her now, and she's completely out of it. She is, in a way they say, she is broken mentally. She's drooling and just going and stuff like that. She's not all the way there anymore. And you lost your arm. You lost your dad. You saw your dad get cut in half. And then you're wondering about your past life. You don't even know how your parents died. You don't even know how your freaking parents died, dude. You were off doing whatever. You know what he was doing. And realize, well, he was terrible. Yeah, something happened terrible to him at school. But the fact that he didn't try to be good to his own family was kind of messed up. He used what happened to him at school as a shield, as an freaking crutch, to have this very terrible behavior. And he's looking back on it and saying, wow, you are a real piece of crap, aren't you, man? A real piece of crap. The fact that you allow that to happen, get that far, but it happens when you enable people sometimes. I feel like the parents themselves should have been more forceful on Rudius when he was younger to make sure he wouldn't stay in that kind of habitat, but they let it fester. They enabled him, so he kind of, in a way, just became this terrible hermit. And now here he is today, like, wow, man, I was such a jerk. And now that he saw his father die, and he was thinking he had the same vision when he wanted to go see his father again after the calamity. It was the vision of him hugging his dad and them going along, telling jokes, telling their adventure of them getting out of the mess they were in. But it didn't end that way. Now the same thing he was imagining again, where Zenith wakes up and yes, they're sad that Paul's gone, but she is just happy to be back, to be alive and stuff. And they can at least say, yeah, I brought mom back and stuff like that. Job well done, Rudy, despite everything. But that didn't happen. Instead, it's just Zenith just being in this state. And it's just this drooling mess. And now he falls, man. Everything this dude went through, man. He can't handle the pressure, man. He's thinking of all these things on his mind. His heart ain't right. He lost his arm. Yo, man, my brother needs a drink. And there he goes. He collapsed. He can't take it no more, man. He is down for the count. Broken and stuff. And now, if you watch the anime and you read the novels, you know what happens next. And a lot of people disagreed what happened within the scene that happens next couple of chapters. And I do agree, I really do. But at the same time, this is Rudius' character. And Leonaise said this perfectly in the future volumes. Rudius is someone who breaks under pressure. The minute something goes horribly wrong for this character, he'll immediately go to his worst tendencies. It will happen, you'll see it, part of it in season 3, and you're kind of seeing it now. Rudius is this person, and it even happened in his past life. When something bad happens to this dude, he falls apart. He goes into self-will and pity, where he will not come out for nobody. It happens so many times where he needs to have a support system. He ignored it his last life, but this life, when things fall apart, he at least was able to reach out and fix things. For instance, when things went wrong with his father and he was just in his bed, Eros and Rudra were there to comfort him. And now, this scene, you're going to see something happening to him and Roxy. It's just going to keep happening. And it will happen later on in future volumes. I don't want to spoil too much. But Rudius falls apart under pressure. When things don't go well, he is terrible. Terrible person. And it shows, despite how much hard we try to change, one slip up and go back to what we used to be. It happens so often in our lives where we're trying to change. But the part of that is getting back up and wiping up the mess and trying to move forward. So yeah, man. Like I said, I enjoy the facial expressions that happen within this manga. Something that the anime did cool as well, but I think the manga really well executed. I think they captured the despair on Rudius's mental state perfectly, in my opinion. That's just me. So anyway, with that being said, I'll end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. This has a Macron anime. Signing out.